You are in the middle of a sentence and the word simply disappears. You walk into a room and stand there genuinely unable to remember why you came. You forget the name of someone you have known for 20 years and laugh it off because what else can you do? But privately, in the quiet moments, you are scared. You are wondering if this is the beginning of something serious. You are wondering if your mind is starting to go. And the most frustrating part is that when you mention it to your doctor, you are told it is just a normal part of getting older. Take notes, use reminders, stay mentally active, as if you needed to be told to try harder. What your doctor almost certainly did not tell you is that there is a very specific biological reason this is happening to you and to millions of women over 60. And it is not a mystery. It is not inevitable. And it is something that researchers at some of the most respected institutions in the world have been studying intensively for the past decade, with findings that should have reached you long before today. The reason your memory is changing is directly connected to what happened to your estrogen levels during and after menopause. And the mechanism is far more profound, far more specific, and far more actionable than anyone sitting across from you in a doctor's office has taken the time to explain. I am Dr. Steven, and this channel is dedicated to bringing you the latest peer-reviewed research on women's health and senior health translated into clear, practical information you can actually use. If you have not subscribed yet, please do that right now, because every single week I am covering the science that your doctor may not have had time to explain. And today's topic is one of the most important ones I have ever covered for women over 60. Let us start at the beginning because the biology here is genuinely fascinating, and once you understand it, everything else clicks into place. What estrogen is actually doing inside your brain. Most women were taught that estrogen is a reproductive hormone. It regulates your menstrual cycle. It supports pregnancy. It declines at menopause. End of story. That explanation is so incomplete it is almost misleading. Because estrogen is not just a reproductive hormone. It is a powerful neuroprotective agent that has been actively maintaining the health and function of your brain for your entire adult life. And when it drops, your brain feels it in ways that are measurable, documented, and deeply significant. Here is what estrogen is doing inside your brain right now, or more accurately, what it was doing before menopause depleted it. Estrogen promotes the production of acetylcholine, which is the primary neurotransmitter your brain uses for memory formation and learning. When estrogen is adequate, acetylcholine production is supported, and memory consolidation, the process of converting short-term experiences into long-term memories, works efficiently. When estrogen drops, acetylcholine production decreases with it. The very chemical your brain uses to form and retrieve memories becomes less available. Estrogen also supports the growth and maintenance of synapses. Synapses are the connections between brain cells through which all information travels. Research from Rockefeller University found that estrogen actively promotes synapse formation in the hippocampus, which is the brain region most critical for memory. In the presence of adequate estrogen, the hippocampus maintains a dense network of connections. As estrogen declines, synapse density in the hippocampus measurably decreases. Estrogen additionally functions as a powerful anti-inflammatory agent in brain tissue. Neuroinflammation, which is low-grade chronic inflammation inside the brain, is one of the most consistently identified contributors to cognitive decline and neurodegenerative disease. Estrogen suppresses several of the key inflammatory pathways that drive this process. When estrogen declines after menopause, that anti-inflammatory protection is withdrawn and neuroinflammation can accelerate. And perhaps most significantly, estrogen plays a direct role in protecting brain cells from the kind of oxidative damage that accumulates over decades and contributes to the progression of Alzheimer's disease. Research published in the journal Neuron has shown that estrogen activates specific neuroprotective pathways that shield neurons from damage and support their repair. This is not a minor side effect of menopause. This is a fundamental shift in how your brain is being protected and maintained, and it begins years before your last period. The perimenopause window, nobody talks about here, is something that genuinely surprises most women when they learn it. The cognitive effects of estrogen decline do not begin at menopause. They begin during perimenopause, the transitional period that can start anywhere from 2 to 10 years before your final period. A landmark study conducted by researchers at the University of Rochester and published in the journal Menopause followed women through the perimenopause transition using comprehensive cognitive testing at regular intervals. The findings were striking. Women showed measurable declines in verbal memory, processing speed, and the ability to learn and retain new information during perimenopause itself, before menopause was even complete. The researchers also found something critically important. In many women, some of these cognitive measures partially stabilized or even improved in the years following menopause, once estrogen had reached its new lower baseline. This suggests that the transition period itself, when estrogen is fluctuating erratically, may be particularly disruptive to brain function. What this means practically is that if you are in your late 40s or early 50s and you are noticing memory and concentration changes, you are not imagining it and you are not losing your mind. You are experiencing a documented neurological effect of hormonal transition that your doctor should have explained to you years ago. Comment below right now and tell me your age and when you first noticed changes in your memory or concentration. I ask because the patterns in this community consistently help me understand what women are actually experiencing versus what the research predicts, and the gap between those two things is always revealing. What the research tells us about estrogen and Alzheimer's risk. This next section is the one I want you to pay the most careful attention to because it contains information that could genuinely influence decisions you make about your health in the coming years. The connection between estrogen decline and Alzheimer's disease risk is one of the most actively studied areas in neuroscience right now, and the findings are significant enough that they deserve to be part of every conversation between women over 60 and their doctors. Women develop Alzheimer's disease at nearly twice the rate of men. For decades, this was assumed to simply reflect the fact that women live longer. But researchers began questioning that assumption when the numbers did not fully add up, even after controlling for longevity differences. A growing body of evidence now points to estrogen loss at menopause as a meaningful contributing factor to this disparity. A major study published in the journal Neurology followed over 1,900 women and found that those who experienced menopause earlier, meaning they had more years of life with low estrogen levels, had a significantly higher risk of developing dementia compared to women who went through menopause later. Research from the Women's Health Initiative Memory Study found that the timing of hormone changes relative to the onset of menopause appears to matter substantially for long-term cognitive outcomes. This has become known in the research literature as the critical window hypothesis, the idea that the years immediately surrounding menopause represent a period of particular neurological vulnerability. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Margaret. She was 64 years old when she came to see me, a retired journalist, precise with language her entire career. She had been noticing for about 3 years that she was losing words mid-sentence, struggling to follow complex conversations, and forgetting details of things she had read just hours earlier. She had told her previous doctor about these symptoms twice. Both times she was told it was stress and age-related forgetfulness and was given no further evaluation. When we did a thorough review of her history, it became clear that she had gone through an early menopause at 48 with no hormonal support, and had spent 16 years with essentially no estrogen protection for her brain. Her cognitive testing showed early but measurable deficits in verbal memory and processing speed. Her inflammatory markers were elevated. We built a comprehensive plan that addressed every modifiable factor in her situation. She told me at her 6-month follow-up that she finally felt like someone had taken her seriously and given her something real to work with. The 4 things that protect your brain. After estrogen declines. I want to be completely clear about something before we go further. The question of hormone replacement therapy for cognitive protection is genuinely complex. The research is nuanced. The risks vary significantly depending on individual health history. The timing of initiation matters enormously, and this is absolutely a conversation that requires a thorough individual evaluation with your physician. I am not telling you to start or avoid HRT. I am telling you that the conversation deserves to happen with a doctor who is current on the evidence. What I can give you right now are the 4 most strongly evidence-supported strategies for protecting brain function after estrogen declines. Strategies that work through the same biological pathways that estrogen was supporting and that every woman over 60 can begin discussing with her doctor this week. The first is omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA. Docosahexaenoic acid is the primary structural fat in your brain. It is essential for maintaining the integrity of cell membranes in neurons, supporting synapse function, and reducing neuroinflammation. After estrogen declines and its anti-inflammatory protection is reduced, adequate DHA becomes even more critical. A 2022 study published in Nutrients found that higher omega-3 intake was significantly associated with better cognitive performance in postmenopausal women specifically. The dose supported by research for cognitive protection is 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily from a high-quality fish oil supplement. Take it with your largest meal of the day for best absorption. The second is magnesium threonate. This specific form of magnesium is the only form that has been shown in clinical research to meaningfully cross the blood-brain barrier and raise magnesium levels inside brain tissue. Magnesium is essential for synaptic plasticity, which is your brain's ability to strengthen connections through learning and experience. A 2010 study published in the journal Neuron found that magnesium threonate significantly improved both short-term and long-term memory in animal models through direct effects on hippocampal synapse density. Human trials have followed with similarly encouraging results. The dose is typically 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of magnesium threonate daily, taken in divided doses. The third is deliberate aerobic exercise. This is not a vague lifestyle recommendation. This is a specific neurological intervention with a documented mechanism. Aerobic exercise stimulates the production of a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which researchers sometimes call fertilizer for the brain. BDNF promotes the growth of new neurons, supports synapse formation, and directly counteracts the hippocampal shrinkage that estrogen loss accelerates. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that 1 year of regular aerobic exercise actually increased hippocampal volume by 2% in older adults, reversing age-related shrinkage by 1 to 2 years. 30 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity, walking briskly, swimming, cycling, 5 days per week, produces measurable neurological benefit. The fourth is sleep quality, specifically deep sleep. Your brain has a waste-clearing system called the glymphatic system that activates almost exclusively during deep, slow-wave sleep. This system flushes out toxic proteins, including amyloid beta, which is directly associated with Alzheimer's pathology, from brain tissue overnight. Estrogen decline disrupts sleep architecture, reducing the amount of deep restorative sleep women get. This means the brain's nightly cleaning cycle becomes less effective precisely when the brain needs it most. Prioritizing sleep hygiene, maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, keeping the bedroom cool and dark, and discussing sleep quality with your doctor is not optional after 60. It is a direct brain protection strategy. Exactly what to do this week. Here is your specific action plan. First, write down every cognitive symptom you have noticed in the past 2 years. Word-finding difficulty, forgetting recent conversations, losing track mid-sentence, difficulty concentrating on reading. Bring that written list to your next appointment. Do not summarize it verbally. Hand your doctor the written list and ask for it to be documented. Second, request a baseline cognitive assessment. Ask specifically for a Montreal Cognitive Assessment, which is a standardized test that takes about 10 minutes and provides an objective baseline against which future changes can be measured. You are entitled to this evaluation, and having a documented baseline is genuinely important. Third, ask your doctor directly about your personal risk profile for estrogen-related cognitive decline based on your age at menopause, your current symptoms, and your individual health history. Ask whether a referral to a menopause specialist or a neurologist with interest in women's brain health is appropriate for your situation. Fourth, begin omega-3 supplementation this week if you are not already taking it and you have no contraindications. This is one of the most accessible and well-evidenced steps you can take immediately. Fifth, commit to 30 minutes of brisk walking 5 days a week for the next 12 weeks. Track it on a calendar. This single habit produces measurable neurological change with no prescription required. A critical safety note before we close. If you are experiencing sudden significant memory changes, confusion, difficulty with daily tasks, or personality changes, please see your doctor promptly rather than waiting for a routine appointment. These patterns require clinical evaluation. The cognitive changes we have discussed today are gradual and progressive. Sudden changes warrant immediate attention. The memory changes you are experiencing are real. They are not inevitable, and they are not something you simply have to accept because you were told aging is the explanation. The biology connecting estrogen decline to brain function is documented, specific, and increasingly well understood. You now have the language, the questions, and the specific steps to walk into your next appointment differently. Comment below with one of these 3 responses. Comment testing if you are going to request a cognitive baseline assessment. Comment starting if you are beginning omega-3s and committing to the walking protocol this week, and if there is a woman in your life who has been quietly frightened by her own memory changes and blaming herself for them, please share this video with her today. One conversation with the right information can change everything. I am Dr. Steven. Subscribe if you have not already, because next week I am covering the specific sleep disruption pattern that research now links directly to accelerating memory loss in women over 60. And it is something that most women have never connected to their brain health at all. You will not want to miss it. Take good care of yourself.